Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Studio 47 at Crime Sports for another edition of Talking a Big Game with Eddie Masonette. And this is one of the few times where, unfortunately, I do not have the best beard on the show, but this is one of my OGs, one of my mentors from back in the day, Spencer Hall. It's good to see you again, brother. How you been?
Yeah, pleasure to see you too, Eddie. I've been good. I disagree on the beard. You guys just lined up. There's some organization and some body. This is a mess right now. I'm on the waiting list for a beard trim from my guy.
Okay, we're gonna make that. We can make that happen. You know, if you come to Houston, I can promise a quality barber and barbecue. Like
Listen. I've seen Paul Wall's lineup. It's on the beard. It's clean.
it's clean. Yeah, low key, like he's become a silver fox. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's like ushered in like Zaddy era. Like this
Yeah.
is from my wife saying this, and I'm like, yeah, he's a handsome devil at this point for
Oh,
sure.
you know what? This is a testament to Houston and the gifts that Houston has that people don't really consider because Houston is itself. Houston is amazing in every way, but the layout and the look. That's it. Like Houston is 100% the dude who walks in the first scene in the movie and they're like, "Oh man, this guy's a mess." And
Yes,
then by 45 minutes in, you're like, "Did you know he's a sniper? Did you know he speaks 8 languages? Did you know that he's a billionaire? Actually, he's got a business back home, right? Like he's the guy that you're like, I didn't know he could do that. Yeah, yeah, he could do everything." Um,
yeah,
the Paul Wall, that's a white guy beard, and there's somebody in Paul Wall's orbit, which is largely African American,
hmm
who's like, no, I can handle it. I
yeah.
got it. I got it. That's amazing. That's somebody who is like, I'm covering all the disciplines. Just another little detail in the grand story of Houston is amazing.
Yeah, and I would probably have to give some credit to his wife for ushering that look in too, because she seems to also have immaculate taste in that area.
Listen, I know that house is very well run in every single angle.
Well, you touched on billionaires earlier, and uh, the billionaire that we can't stop from talking about is Cody Campbell
Hmm.
and what's going on with Texas Tech. And now we are recording this episode in June, shortly after the ruling that the NCAA and the Big 12 was able to push, effectively outlawing Brendan Sorsby from actually being able to play quarterback for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And look, by the time you listen to this episode, he will likely be on somebody's NFL roster, maybe allegedly. We will see. He will probably be making less money as a backup quarterback in the NFL than he would be if he was playing quarterback in Lubbock.
Hmm.
But you and I were talking before we hit record on this episode. And the one thing that I feel really strongly about is the fact that it's June when we
Hmm.
record this. The World Cup is happening. Who knows? The United States, not terrible at soccer, allegedly. We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
The Knicks did a thing they haven't done since 1973. Pretty amazing. We can't stop talking about Texas Tech. And when we get to week one, which if Cody Campbell got his way, they'd be playing the Texas Longhorns, but instead they'll be playing Abilene Christian. And week two, they'll be playing Oregon State. Spencer, they're going to be must-see TV. They are going to be must-see TV. And my argument, my hypothesis and all of this is somehow Texas Tech has now become the best thing that could ever happen to college sports.
They are right now the fulcrum, and there's a lot of things that are resting on it. And Cody
Mhm.
Campbell and the leadership at Texas Tech have put them there. And whether this seesaw between the existing order and whatever's next survives depends on how strong that little seesaw happens to be. And I think I'm just gonna go big and start. I have a conspiracy theory,
Go for it.
and it's this. And it's that this is all very intentional, and that the notion that we're working under here is that Cody Campbell, who has grand ambitions, like this is somebody with very big ambitions, very 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 large scale thinking. I think, yeah, he wants Texas Tech to be good, and I think he thinks that in order for Texas Tech to be good, that we have to unleash the power of the money supporting it. And the money itself in college football still has to run through certain channels in order to work. It can't just go out on the open market and pay a salary, right? And I think this is my conspiracy theory, and I think it's like 51% accurate, right? We could start with the like, well, what does this probably mean? No, no, no. Forget that. We're just going straight for the jugular here. I think the entire point is to break the system. I think that's it. I think this is and mind you, who would be there to fix it? Well, we already have a solution. Cody Campbell has a piece of legislation in the United States Congress that he wants passed that will effectively salary cap and institute his idea of what constitutes fair competition. It happens to lean very, very favorably toward those with a ton of money. That is, he's basically signed up Ted Cruz to sponsor that. I wish everyone luck in Congress dealing with Ted Cruz, trying to get that sponsored and trying to get that through. Or even talking to him or dealing with him. Like, if he walks in the door, you just got to be like, oh, this guy. My day just got so much worse.
Yes. Yes.
Not because of his party or affiliation, but because that's Ted Cruz.
It's Ted Cruz. I mean, every sports fan in Texas has immediate grief when he walks into their stadium or ballpark. They're just like, oh no. When the Houston Cougars were in the Final Four, the national championship against Duke, and they said Ted Cruz was going to be there, the audible groan from the city of Houston was just like, this is not going to end well.
Again, everything else aside, I just got numbers. That's it. And the numbers say that when you walk in the door, I'm going to have a bad day. That's the deal.
Yeah.
But Cody Campbell is the one who's pushing all of this. And I'm not saying he has a definite 100% accurate point that they're aiming towards, but generally the idea is that for Texas Tech to be as competitive as they can possibly be, and for people like Cody Campbell to be as important, influential, and powerful as they can possibly be, that you need to snap the system in two and replace it with something else. Preferably something that the person who broke the whole thing designed.
Yeah.
That's it. And the first person who says all of this is Cody Campbell, who says, the classic political ploy here, by the way. College sports is broken. What? Yeah, college sports is broken. It needs to be fixed. Let me guess who's going to fix it. You? Yeah, me. Oh, wow. Big spoiler there. Yeah, that's my conspiracy theory, is that they're pushing all of this in order to maximize their own interests. And maximizing their own interest in Texas Tech's case, an outlier, school on the moon with a bunch of oil money. This is the way that you would do it.
Well, and it's not that far-fetched. And we have to remember that in reality, like, college football's best stories and biggest powers are almost all outlaws. I mean, look at the University of Oklahoma. They are as outlaw as they get. You could make a case that Notre Dame is as much of an outlaw as anybody, especially given their independence of it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mindful. I was even thinking about that during the drive this morning of, maybe it's a land, shoot for the moon, land on the stars scenario. I could see a real scenario where Texas Tech is just like, why can't we go independent? Why can't we go a similar route? And there are so many levers and buttons to press right now where, yes, through political intervention, could we blow this thing up? Hey, through the Big 12. Now, the Big 12 now was once an ally. Now they seem like they are almost worlds apart now as well. But their ability to just cause chaos and yet also say, we're going to be Vince McMahon and commissioner of this new chaos system that we're living in. Why not us? Why not let us be the leaders of this new school of it all? And to me, like, they're actually, because they have so much money, that they're able to fund their way through any scenario. And that makes them impossible to take our eyes off of. And I'm curious for you, like, is there anybody that's like clamoring for them to be the leaders of this in that way? It feels like everybody has collectively been eye rolling at Texas Tech for years with Cody Campbell in place. But to me, like, I can also think back to a time when we were eye rolling somebody running for president. And I'm not trying to make this political, but you keep eye rolling someone who is inherently serious at, like, being the chaos engine, and eventually they might get enough power in that engine to, like, power the way through it.
Or they might exert enough power in a specific sphere to do it.
Yeah.
This is because right now the notion that they're like Cody Campbell's aims may be national, and that's not making anything up. dude is pushing a bill through, trying to push a bill through Congress, and he's writing the checks to do it. That's not making anything up. It's also not making anything up to say that for the moment that stalled, and that Brendan Sorsby going into the supplemental draft is a setback in that. I don't think these are the kind of people who take those kind of setbacks very seriously, and they're going to keep continuing to push through. So I think that the opponent now is the Big 12, and the notion will be to try to pull apart and or subdue the Big 12, because I think the long-term vision is that, yeah, maybe Texas Tech manages to dominate within the Big 12, especially because the prior big dog in the Big 12, the University of Texas, is no longer in the conference. And the other person or the other team that might have been the competitor for that left even before that, Texas A&M. So now Texas Tech is going, as within their current power structure, within their buy-in as a, let's put it this way, as a board member of the corporation that is the Big 12, they're going to start throwing their weight around. And there's absolutely, by the way, just from a political angle, and don't hesitate to make it political. It's all political, and they're like, keep politics out of my sports.
Oh my God.
I really, really envy those people. I'd love to have a brain that had that part removed. It'd be great. But you see what's happening in the story, and you say it's not possible. I can't understand it without understanding politics.
Yeah.
So they're going to throw their weight around, and they should. Like in terms of their own interest, that's exactly what they should do. I'm not saying it's fun. I'm not saying it's pleasant. I'm not saying we're not going to get these jokes off. Do people want Texas Tech to be this? I don't know if that matters. It's kind of like, hey, man, do you want the bear to get in your garbage cans? It doesn't really matter what I want. The bear's going to be in the garbage cans.
Yeah.
Like,
but will it be live stream? Will we be able to watch it on our security cameras and then load it up on social media clips?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One Texas angle that's hilarious on this is that we would not be here without oil in the Permian, because Cody Campbell made his fortune from various oil related businesses and energy holdings centering on the Permian. Double Eagle, which was the name for most of his companies, that comes from his high school football team. That's their mascot, is the Double Eagle. That's, if you want to know how football this is to the core, dude, the guy who is throwing all this money around, who is the engine behind this, named his companies after his high school football mascot.
Yeah. It's serious. It's so serious. And I remember having this conversation with Joel. It's there to some degree. It's hard to not want Texas Tech to be successful, because they paid my girl Najari Kennedy $1 million to sling that pill in softball, right?
They got her out of Stanford, dude. They convinced somebody to move from Narnia. That's what's like, if you go like as a Stanford student, it's a pretty good life, man. You don't get C's. You're in this place that's like 70 degrees all the time, right? Or 60 degrees all the time. And you can immediately like walk out of your job and into some cushy, insane consulting gig where even if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be making $800K a year.
Yes.
That's an exaggeration, but not by much. And then convinced her to come to Lubbock. That's a sign that you are doing something.
Yeah. I mean, look, they dropped $5 million on a quarterback from Cincinnati, like on his third team, by the way, going to Texas Tech, Brendan Sorsby. And I'm here. There are a few people here that are still banging the drum of like college students shouldn't be getting paid. Like women and men are getting paid real money, and they have been a big advocate for that. And at the same time, the swashbuckling nature of it all has been, to some degree, I think this 2026 season is going to feel a bit like Deion when he started at Colorado, because of just the amount of defiance that Texas Tech has exuded in the last couple of days, weeks, months, years of it all. And so I kind of bring it back to the football to a degree of they don't have their star quarterback, but they still have a star roster.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine like the Twitter timeline. I refuse to call it X. The Twitter timeline of it all when they get on the field. I'm curious when they go on the road. Is it going to be like the NWO when they show up to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they're going to be hurling paper cups and trash and booing and causing a scene? And you know, they're already wearing the black and red. I don't think they're cool enough. I don't think they're cool enough to be the NWO Wolfpack, but like it's real NWO energy with this. And like, I'm not going to be able to take my eyes off the car crash. I'm not going to be able to do it.
I think it's very funny that they could do all that, and yet we still bump up against a lot of the basic limitations of the sport. This is a sport where we could do all of that, and we could have that kind of attitude, and you could stage the kind of nasty, marauding defense that they played, and that is, by the way, the spot that you want, right? Like to emphasize with Texas Tech that they were absolutely nasty on defense, right? And very, very smart about how they employed different people at different positions. That is not what is going to get you a title. You need a quarterback. Like, it just doesn't, like, that's the funny part, you know, that they've got all of this going for them. They have all the resources in the world. And we can't find a quarterback who hasn't gambled 500 times on Lithuanian softball. You know, like, we can't, you still need a quarterback. Like, okay, cool, man. Revolutionary approach to the sport. We're paying more than people. We're scouting differently, right? We can put whatever BS you want to put in there, right? About breaking the system and being innovative. Joey McGuire, Captain Ham and Eggs, still going to come back and go, boys, we need a quarterback. You know, so there's still some dude in bike shorts who's like, give me a guy who can hand off and hit stick, right? Like, and hit a stick route. Like, it's very, very funny to me that we can go through all of this, which is all a very legitimate part of it. And we still need, boys, we still need a leader. like Varsity Blues is still true. We listen, we need a quarterback, and we need him to do what the coaches say. We need him to be able to pull off all of this stuff. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's time to go ahead and get into the next stage, which is Texas Tech is now going to steal someone else's quarterback. Hi, would you like to go ahead and enjoy, like everyone else is going, you're stuck back here. I want you to come over here. Boys, we're going to steal a quarterback. That's what they're going to do. It's the open market, and you call it tampering. I call it an offer for a new job, right? That's a new job offer. That's not tampering.
Well, I mean, by the way, in the midst of all of this, yes, we have prevented guys who have bet on sports from being able to keep playing, but we have not stopped people from getting a 6th or 7th year of eligibility and getting a podunk court judge to county judge to say, like, you know what, we'll make it happen. So yeah, I'm pretty sure TJ Finley's still floating around somewhere to get an 8th year, and I like TJ Finley. That's TJ. Not a shot at my boy TJ, but I'm saying, bring him through.
Listen, let me just see how he is 7-on-7. Let me just see it's a pass skeleton, okay? Let me see what that arm do. Let's go.
Well, coming up next, talking a big game, we're going to take it from Lubbock to H-Town, because we have to have a conversation about one of the greatest college football quarterbacks of all time, mentoring and developing maybe the next great college football quarterback, and the man who has ushered all of this in from a previous era. We're talking about Willie Fritz and the Houston Cougars. We'll be back on Talking a Big Game. I'll be back. Welcome back to Talking a Big Game. Spencer Hall, Eddie Mason here. I am so excited to have this next conversation, because before we got on the pod, you were telling me things about a local high school in Houston that I didn't even know. And this started with a conversation about what's going on with the Houston Cougars. Now, for those who are in the state, obviously there's a huge understanding of what the Houston Cougars mean. And a school that the basketball coach, Kelvin Sampson, was like, we broke. And while they're broke, they are winning 10 games. They won 10 games last year. The basketball team is consistently trying to make a push for a national championship. And they walk into this new season talk about a team probably excited to play the Texas Tech Red Raiders now. Houston's probably looking like, hey, man, we might actually have a shot to do something over here. But I'm mindful of the fact that, hey, Willie Fritz, to me, has always been one of the more fascinating coaches and football minds in the sport. And he did something really interesting. He's got Connor Wegman at quarterback, transfer from Texas A&M. Connor's a good quarterback. Like, look, I don't have to keep this extra football-y, but Connor's going to be he's probably going to play his way into getting drafted upcoming season. And then Willie Fritz did something really interesting. The part one of interesting was he signed arguably the best starting quarterback, the best high school quarterback in the country, Keisean Henderson, 5-star. But then he also hired his head coach from high school, a man we all know as Michael Bishop, legendary Kansas State quarterback, native of Houston. But Bishop has a unique tie to Willie Fritz, and that goes all the way back to junior college. Now, before I go into it, how familiar are you with Fritz and his time with Michael Bishop back in junior college?
I know that they wrecked shop. That's what I know.
Yeah.
I know that one. I know that's all Michael Bishop did was wreck shop, and two, I know that if you look at Willie Fritz, he's got one of the. It is one of the most. I'm going to put it this way: Catholic, and I mean that in the term of universal. Like he's got this. His resume is insane because before he ever gets on the radar, he has slogged his way up through coaching at every single level. And so I know they have a history, and I know this too. And this is like the most interesting part of the whole story to me, besides Legacy Sports High School, is this. I know that this is fascinating to me because Michael Bishop was one of the first real embodiments of player mobility because he came from junior college and then he went to play for a guy who understood a new way of doing things in Bill Snyder. Right. And it is fascinating to me to have this come full circle in Michael Bishop mentoring a kid who is now going to enter the era that Michael Bishop himself, I think, and his mentors helped forge. Under one of those dudes in the form of Willie Fritz, who I think understood very well what his role as a junior college coach was, and is now, I think, as much as anyone, adapting and understanding what the role of a current college football head coach is. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, and look, by the way, Willie Fritz, former junior college coach at Blinn Junior College. By the way, same school that Cameron Jarrell Newton went to.
Yeah, and won a title at. Yeah.
Won a title at, right? Like they've got such a unique dynamic at UH. And look, let me be clear. Like, I don't think anybody expects Keisean to see the field in year one. But I am mindful of the intentionality that Fritz has displayed with having that relationship with Bishop and having that relationship with Henderson, and the fact that it all kind of fell in his lap, being so local in Houston matters. And this is the thing to me, that this is where your expertise would actually be helpful for me, because I am mindful of the things that you talked about, the slog and like all of the different places that Fritz has been. I mean, mind you, this man was at Georgia Southern. This man was up the street here at Sam Houston State. Like, he's put in his time and he's won everywhere. And so I remember when he was hired at UH, he's like, bro, he's 60. He was in his mid 60s when UH hired him. And it's like, he ain't no spring chicken, but he's like the epitome of old man strength from a coaching standpoint. Like, don't nobody want to tussle with Willie Fritz. Like, I don't want that smoke at all. Nobody wants it.
No, and this is, I think everybody knows, like, you go, okay, well, how old was he when we hired him? It doesn't really matter. This is his last stop, like this is his last stop. And I think it's, going to be a career capper for him. I don't think there's another job after this. So you say, okay, well, what if we only get 5 years out of Willie Fritz? Look at everyone else. Look at college football. 5 years would be an eternity.
Yes.
For a coach at this point. So go look at your top 5 longest tenured coaches right now, and you will be stunned to see what constitutes seniority at this point.
Yeah.
Now, but given that, the amazing thing about Willie Fritz is that he has been so adaptable at every stop in terms of what the product looks like on the field. So at Southern, they ran a spread triple. Like it's just like that was one reason they loved him. In Statesboro, they want you to run the triple option. They don't really care how you do it. Fritz had to tell them, right? They'd go 3 or 4 wide, and everybody in Statesboro was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't. Where's your B back, buddy?" And he had to tell them, "We're doing that. Don't worry. B back's out in the slot. It's cool. We're gonna get it," and it worked. It worked really well. And then went to Tulane and ran something that looked far more both modern and conventional at the same time. Like they just it was like a really well orchestrated modern spread offense. Like it was good, and it was just as good as his offenses have been at Georgia Southern, and they were incredible at Tulane. I don't really know what how's this? I don't know what he's going to do with him, but I do know this, that the man is adapted to his talent at every point. So I trust that element in Houston. And I also trust that he has no assumptions about how they acquire or develop talent that aren't compatible with the modern setup, with the current setup. Whatever works is what they will do.
Yeah. It reminds a lot of Belichick's philosophy on defense of just being malleable, not being scheme independent, and being able to just have dudes that can do a bunch of things really well. Which, by the way, Michael Bishop could do a lot of things really well. And now having Keisean there, being able to do a lot of things really well. I wanted to touch back on one thing that you and I talked about, because you educated me about something related to both Bishop and Henderson, in relation to where they went, where he was at Legacy School of Science and Sport. Excuse me, I'm probably butchering that name. But yes, this is a high school in nearby Spring that was totally founded on, hey man, we're gonna get a school that's really good at getting people to be good at sports and getting people to work in sports. A real hyper focused situation up there, and like more power to them. But then you alerted me to someone who was on their board, and I was like, oh, that makes even more sense in the world.
Yeah, Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett is on the board.
Yes.
Of
the Imagination Agency.
Legacy, the School of Sports and Sciences. That is the full name, by the way.
Yes.
I sound real smart because I'm reading it off the screen.
Well, and the beard, it helps.
That's it. We were getting professorial. Yeah, Legacy is we'll just call it Legacy for short. It's a high school in Spring. And do you want to major in ball? That's it. Which can I tell you how much I don't have an objection to this? I don't, because if there are performing arts high schools, right, where I can major in sing, there should be performing arts high schools where I should major in ball. That's not denigrating performing arts high schools. This is saying we have many high schools that are vocationally specialties. And if this is one that they think can work, and if there's any state in the country where it could work, it should be Texas, right? They're giving it a run. And that's fascinating. As fascinating as that is to the bystander, ultimately, like, this is the problem with Legacy. They can't be bad at sports. Like, what if your Legacy's football coach? What if your Legacy's football coach?
And you go in 500.
Dude, what if you only, like, win 7 games? What else are y'all doing over there? Yeah, like, that's an issue. I think that's a high-pressure job.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah, no, that's tough. And I don't just mean for the football coach.
Yes.
Right? That volleyball coach in the vice grip. You shouldn't be dropping games. Ever.
No. And people in Texas are not going to let up on jokes when it comes to that type of thing.
We're laughing.
Yes.
They wouldn't.
Yes. There would be some changes post haste when it comes to the program. Yeah, I am mindful of watching, I'm just going to tie this all the way back to UH and Texas Tech, because God bless Texas Tech for making that game more interesting than it was. Because if I'm not mistaken, last season, Texas Tech said, They essentially went, we're gonna come to your hood and take over your trap when it came to UH. And then I watched Texas Tech have a meltdown because the Big 12 decided, hey, we want people to watch your game against Houston, but we're gonna make y'all play on Friday night. And Cody Campbell was indignant because of the Church of Friday Night Lights was infringed upon. And I don't know if these two teams will be the representative of the Big 12 when it comes to the end of the season. But I am mindful of the fact that it is good for college football that there are two schools doing it very differently with two totally different ways of going about their business. And yet at the same time, like, I can't keep my eyes off of either of them.
They're both innovators, and they have to be innovators because historically speaking, neither of them has had. They both had disadvantages that they've had to turn into advantages. Houston was a commuter school, was. I don't think that's true anymore.
People in Houston might say it's still a commuter school, but yeah, keep going. Yeah,
they would. They're working against that, right? Additionally, everyone in Houston who was talented football-wise would immediately get hoovered up by A&M or Texas, or even LSU. That was in later years. This was a school that had to try new things. Houston had to try the veer. By the way, they didn't try the veer because they thought it was cool. They tried the veer out of necessity. They had to try the run and shoot with great success because they had to. They had to try the air raid because they had to. This is a school that isn't hopping on fads. They're determining the fads because they need to, right? Like, hey, if a lot of times fashion comes from necessity and poverty, right? Like, hey, these cool kids are wearing jeans that have holes in them. Okay, do you know why?
Yep,
it's because their jeans have holes in them. They just look cool while they do it. That was initially Houston. That's not who they necessarily are now, but if there's an advantage, they'll take it. Texas Tech is very much the same way. That's the cradle of the air raid, right? Those are boosters who have wanted to be big for a long time, and now they got a big boy. So we're going to see. I think both of those schools, polar opposites at different ends of the state, they are fascinating to me because they both have very different situations, but a common enemy, which is resources, geography, and the powers that be in the state who are loyal to other schools for the most part.
Yeah. And it's the blessing. College football has somehow now done the thing that the NFL and the NBA has figured out, which is we're going to talk about you 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
And I think it is a blessing. It's a blessing for us in the industry while the algorithms and AI continue to try to take many of us out. But I'm mindful of that. And between the shenanigans at Texas Tech and some of the really interesting things at Houston, it's going to keep our eyes peeled going forward. Spencer, I am a big fan of everything you and Holly are doing at Channel 6. And I just want to say on the record, I'm very thankful of the energy and support you've given me in the past. And one time to SB Nation, as always. I'm really appreciative of you, my brother.
Hey, I'm just trying to be like you.
I mean, we got it. Well, the thing is, you actually still got hair though, man. Like
I have too much hair.
Yeah, you got good salad. You hiding it right now, but you got good salad, bro.
It's again, it was so bad I'm wearing a hat indoors, which I wouldn't do because in my head there's a little grandmother telling me not to do it.
Well, yeah, for me, it's just my wife said this is the aesthetic that looks good on you, so I'm gonna rinse and repeat.
That is called following orders, and I appreciate it.
There you go, Spencer Hall. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you all for listening to Talking a Big Game. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your mama all the good things we're doing over here at Studio 47, and we'll talk to you next time. Later.